dive right in here. So yesterday we talked about this, and the fact that fuel economy is always going to be when you plug it into the formula. This formula, you should have that on your study sheet, right? It's in the front, like at the page 40. It's here, added to your study sheet. It allows you to find the fuel economy. So this is your fuel economy. The fuel economy can be used in two ways. It can be used to figure out how many liters you need to travel a certain distance. It can be used to figure out what the distance you can travel on a certain amount of liters, right, in your tank. So it works both ways, okay? I want you to, before we continue, really quickly add this formula to page 40. Coming with me, right? You coming with me? Yeah. Cost. If you ever want the cost of fuel, what will you multiply? This one you should actually know. You will multiply liters times the dollar per liter, okay? That's how you figure out the cost of fuel. Take the liters that you need for the trip or that have been traveled, right, that you've used, and just multiply it by a dollar amount per liters. And I always assume students know this, but did you know that the price you see at the pump is what you pay? You don't pay the taxes on top of that. Did you know that? 185 is 185. All the taxes, the federal government gets a slice of that, the provincial government gets a slice of that, the refineries, everybody gets a slice of that price. So no taxes, okay? You're going to be tempted to add taxes to it, don't do it, okay? I feel like it's too crowded there, but maybe tell yourself do not add taxes to this cost, okay? Did you hear about it when the gas was crazy high? Alberta government, they didn't charge the tax on their end to save people money. That was like 10 cents a liter less. Was it 13? Oh, 13. Hey, what do I know, right? So it went down because so they chose to not tax the people, right? To give you the savings in your pocket, which is kind of nice. Manitoba government refused. Anyways, let's not talk politics. That's not what the course is about. Let's go to page 41 again. An odometer shows how many kilometers a car has traveled. Sorry, Julia, this is completely coincidence, okay? When Julia filled her gas tank, the odometer read, I'm going to highlight that, right? When you filled, so at the beginning, it read this, okay? The beginning, this is the start. Let's put start at the top, or underneath, sorry. And then it read, I don't like that it kind of bled over. Then it read this much when the gas light came on again. So that's your end reading, your end, okay? Calculate Julia's fuel economy if she filled up 45 liters. So watch how I'm going to do this. It's a little different. Fuel economy is liters used over, what goes underneath again? Kilometers. So you're going to be tempted maybe on a test to just plop one of these in there, right? One of the kilometers, it'll do the trick. Nope. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end reading. It's a little scary, but you can handle it, trust me. Minus, so the end reading, right, what you ended up with, minus the start. And this is in kilometers. So it's a little bit of a longer denominator there. And the formula calls for you to multiply everything by 100. Let's do this here. The end minus the start. It's just a little bit of a twist to it, but you're still doing the same thing as before. Fuel economy would then be 45, and grab your calculators now. I'm not going to do everything in one shot. I don't advise you to do that. Minus 20,844.5. So you traveled, right? Julia traveled 345.8 kilometers. 345.8 kilometers times 100. And now you are going to go ahead and give me the final answer. Clear my screen. 45. I would encourage you to try this. Are you getting what Mr. Dirksen is getting? Are you actually getting what I'm getting, right? So I get 13.01 liters per 100 kilometers. That's how you want to state your final answer. Okay? That's the fuel economy for this particular, and that's how you could do it, right? You can do the same thing. I actually write it down when I fill up. I drive around, and then when I fill up again, when it's time to fill up, then you take that reading, right? And then you know exactly what your fuel economy is. Next, let's see here. So this was A, right? We just answered A in this chunk, and you had to do this part here. B, what's the cost? Well, we take the liters. In this case, Julia used 45 liters, and the gas price, we wish that it would be that low, right? I wonder if it's ever going to come down to that again. 45 times 1.209. I remember working at 7-Eleven night shift. That was my graveyard shift. And we had a gas pump. And it was like 52 cents a liter, something like that. Christmas Eve. That's crazy. That was low. Right. Yeah. There was one time where it dipped, right? Because of the low demand, right? Everybody stayed home. So they had all this fuel sitting around, right? Yeah, that's true. All right. Now I want you to try this now a little bit. So we're gonna try 3, 4, 3, 4, and let's see the backside. Yeah, just 3 and 4 for now. Let's see how you do there. I'm not going to give you a whole lot of time, but can you do that right now? And if you're bored, if you're like, I'm done, if you keep going, just a couple pages, you will see a fuel economy assignment, right? And you can start going on that already if you're ready. I just think I want to give you a chance to try this out for a bit. So I just want to emphasize this because for some reason, this is often left blank on a test. I don't know why. Maybe you don't like to think about fuel, right? So this, if you are given the fuel economy, do not use this formula. Do not use that formula because you already know what it is. There is no point. So let me tell you, you take that. This is important, this part right here. If this is basically just rewriting that as a fraction, you know that on the other side, it's liters, kilometers. You must have liters and kilometers as well. I will give you most likely one of these to fill in. In this case, what am I giving you? That right there. That you're making a trip 375 kilometers. So you put that in there. Okay? And what goes here? Well, the x, right? And so please show this step, right? You cross multiply and then divide. You start where the variable is on this side. You go to the number. Since you're down here, you're going to have to travel up, multiplying, down dividing. So it's 375 times 12.3 divided by 100. Okay, so what do you get? That is 46.125. 46.125, and we are in liters. If you round it to 2 decimals, that's fine. In this course, when we say 2 decimals, we actually are saying minimum of 2 decimals. More is okay, just make sure you round it correctly. The only exception is money. Money has to be 2, right? So by the final answer, so once you have your liters, now you can figure out the cost, right? Because you take that, right, and you multiply it by 1.2009. So yours will be slightly different if you round it. That is okay. Okay, we're not going to fuzz over that. So in this case, it's $55.77. Okay, so that's how you handle a situation where fuel economy is given. Okay, so I'll say this: fuel economy given. Okay, that's very important. So then you don't use that formula, you just use your proportions, right? Okay, another one, fuel economy is given, almost without thinking. I will say, yeah, I'm pretty sure Mr. Dirksen is going to do that. And on the other side, I have this. What are they asking in this case? I'm given the liters, right? So 32 liters is given, therefore they're asking me for the distance traveled, right? Distance traveled in kilometers. So in this case, you multiply down, you divide up. So if you get this wrong, I know where you live. I'm gonna come in, no, I'm just kidding. 351.65 kilometers. I will round this to 2 decimals because it doesn't end, right? It just keeps going. So that's the distance traveled with 32 liters. Okay. Trust me, if you're making a long trip somewhere, like I have a Jeep Wrangler, and sometimes I go off-roading in the boonies, there's no cell reception, there's nothing there. If I don't know how much fuel I'm gonna use, right? Like you drive as far as you can, you're like, oops, I can't get back, right? So you need to make sure you have jerry cans, you have all these things with you to know, right, that you can make. So I actually do this kind of math, right? And obviously you always allow for some extra, right? But just keep in mind, this is real math, right? What fuel economy would you use though in reality? Like there's the city and there's the highway, right? When you go on a highway, you can go further because you're using less, right? If you're going in a city, you wouldn't be making it as far if you go by the city fuel economy. All right, so let's this is I will do insurance tomorrow. Okay, insurance will be done tomorrow, but I still need you to do this one here. We need to talk about, go to page 42 real quick. Once you purchase a vehicle, right, or lease, there are costs involved in the operation. There are costs involved in the operation. When you run out of gas, you obviously fill up every couple of months. Or every 1,000 kilometers, you need to do an oil change. If your vehicle breaks down or decides not to start one day, you need to take the vehicle into a repair shop, right? You need to repair it, right? These correspond to fuel, maintenance, and repairs of the vehicle. Let me zoom into this part right here. Okay, this might be new to some of you. You have no idea that it just happens, right? If you're borrowing your parents' cars or whatever, you don't know what goes into maintaining it, right? And that's okay. I'm not trying to belittle you or anything. I'm just letting you know, right? So brake inspections, right? It's expected that you make an inspection every 10,000 kilometers or every oil change. Now, you might not know what goes into brake inspections, would you? You'd probably just look at it, be like, yeah, it looks good, right? So did you know that brakes have brake pads? Have you ever heard of that? There are ceramic brake pads. So there's like two pads that literally press against a disc, and that slows down your vehicle, right? So those pads, what happens to them over time? They wear out, right? Especially if you're braking all the time. Like if you're going right, like jackrabbit, then they'll wear out more, right? So if you start hearing, have you ever heard this squeaking sound? Somebody driving around? What is that? That is your brakes are they're too thin already, because there's a little metal clip that actually rubs against your discs, and it's telling you change your brakes. Like it's actually way overdue, in my opinion, if you let it go to that point. So you need to inspect that. Oil change every 5,000 kilometers or every 3 months, whichever comes first. I would go by kilometers if I were you. I wouldn't go by time, because it's the kilometers you drive that affects it, right? Tire rotation. You know what a tire rotation is? It's not just like spinning the tires. It's actually, if this is your car, right? You have a tire here, 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 and here. So what a lot of mechanics do is they bring the front ones and they cross them like this, and these ones just go to the front. So they take the front ones, they cross them, they put them in the back, and then they bring the rear ones to the front. Why should you be doing that? Right, so that depends actually where your vehicle has the traction. If it's front wheel drive or rear, regardless, you're going to wear them out unevenly. So if you rotate your tires every year, you're going to wear them out evenly, saving you a lot of money. A set of tires, brand new, 800 bucks, 600, 700. So you don't want that, right? So you want to rotate them all every once in a while. This can be done by you if you have a garage. If you want to take it in, do it. Yeah. Four-wheel drive. So in that case, you still, because there's all-wheel drive and there's four-wheel drive. Sorry, I'm getting technical here. All-wheel drive, it's always going on all four. All four tires are constantly uh, giving traction. Four-wheel drive, you have to actually put it in 4x4, right? In the winter, like my Jeep, I have to do that. I have to actually engage the 4x4. You still want to rotate. You know why? Because uneven, like, you know what you do with the front, you always steer, right? Like if you go around the corner, it's actually wearing it out more. So I would rotate regardless. Yeah, every year. Yeah. Um, Fuel filter, that you don't really have to worry about. Like I would say that a mechanic will worry about that. But that would be part of an operating cost. If I ask you operating costs, I will probably write down, other than fuel and other than oil changes, what is another operating cost? Don't just say maintenance, because you're not going to get the mark. You have to go specific to one of these. Or another one, if you can think of one, do it. Oil filter replacement, that should be done with the oil change. Did you know that? There's an oil filter, I hope. Yeah, you need to change that every time you do an oil change. Coolant flush, that needs to be done every 80,000 to 100,000, depending on your vehicle. Look at the user's manual. You can check that out. Wheel alignment, you would never do a wheel alignment unless you did some work to your front end. Like if you did anything with your car, any maintenance, you need to get it in to get it aligned, or else your car, even if it's slightly off, it will wear out the tires unevenly. Okay, so they have computers that completely align your front steering so that it's perfectly true again. Okay. Rust proofing, you know what that is? It's basically they spray like a substance. It's, forget the name, but yeah, it's like Rust-Oleum or whatever. Like they have different products. It's basically grease. It's almost like grease. And so they have little thin hoses, and they go into every cavity in your car and they spray that in there. Because rust usually starts from the inside out. People don't know that, but when you see the rust on your car, it's because it started inside the door or something. There was water standing there the whole time, and then it just spreads, right? Wiper replacement, you know that one, right? You go to any store, you buy new wipers, you replace them. Do you know what there's an air filter replacement? There are two air filters. There's an air filter that filters the air going into your engine, that's in your engine compartment. And then there's a cab filter. Did you know about the cab filter? Sometimes, yeah. Usually, a glove box, if you open your glove box, that filters the air that you breathe. So, a lot of the newer cars do that too. Oh, wow. Okay. So, if there's ever, you just go into a Tesla. Yeah, yeah, you're fine. Okay, I didn't know that. Battery replacement, especially in the winter, some of your cars won't start. Chances are you either have a dead battery. What charges the battery? Let's see if you know this one. Alternator, yeah, alternator, right? As your engine spins, the alternator is connected with a belt and it charges your battery, keeping it fully charged. Okay, so these are just a few maintenance costs, operating costs, we call them. What else is there? Right now, I can't think of anything else, but I'm sure there are countless things that still need to be done every once in a while. Next, I guess these are preventative. These are more preventative. Changing oil regularly prevents major breakdown. Rotating tires prevents uneven wear on your tires. Rust proofing prevents, obviously, rust from appearing in your car. So there's that. That's my rant on operating costs. And tomorrow we're going to talk about insurance. It's just, there's no math in there, there's just concepts. And I just dealt with insurance, by the way. They stole my trailer over the summer. I don't know if I told you that. Right from the front of my property, they stole my trailer. So I had to deal with that. So they just settled with me, they just paid me out. And it's interesting how that all works. So I'll tell you more about it tomorrow. Make sure if you have a trailer, you know what I'm going to do to prevent it from happening next time? What would you do if you had a trailer and you don't want people to steal it? Huh? Oh, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take one tire off. Yeah, just one. And it's hidden, like I have it now behind a tree. So if they wanna like roll away with it, they'll be like, boom, it'll just fall down. And so it's kind of like sitting on blocks. So as soon as they were to pull it, it would fall down. So I did not have a hitch lock. I learned my lesson there too. Yeah. You know what?